talking about a farming-based agriculture. England, Great Britain, the United Kingdom has more sheep than people at this point in time. By the time we get to World War I, which will be at the end of the unit, will be a fully industrialized society. There are 3 requirements that will need to happen before we get there. What do we need to industrialize?
We need to industrialize our fuel economy, such as burning fuels.
Yep.
The primary source.
And that would be a natural resource?
Yes.
The natural resources come from the land, another natural resource. All right. Now, does the coal magically just get to the factory?
No.
No? How does it get there? Who gets it there?
Workers.
Workers? Or what do workers do?
They get the coal.
Good neighbor. All right, and do workers work for free?
No.
We're
not Russia.
Are machines free? Are machines free is, no, we need money for all those, which in this economic terms we call capital. All right, so these are 3 keys to industry: natural resources / land, labor, and capital. All right, next, by the end of the chapter, or the end of the unit, as we move on to World War I, we'll see how these natural resources, labor, and capital will interact with the 3 main causes of World War I. Does anyone know the 4 main causes of World War I?
We learned them last year.
Militarism.
There you go.
Militarism.
Thanks for taking my. I think that might be it.
Can't be, there's 4 of them.
2 big teams during the First World War, and they are sort of A. Alliances. All right, and are these alliances public? Does everyone know about them?
Not.
No, they're made through a secret series of treaties. All right, let's skip down to our N. So if we have alliances, those are alliances between people, not even countries. Those are alliances between nations revolving around nationalism. All right, and the 4th cause, where we directly tie into industrialization, is imperialism. You cannot have imperialism without industry. That's a terrible error.
Oh, I guess that makes sense.
Resources from the far-flung empire are brought in to be processed in your industry, where the finished goods are then shipped back out to the far-flung empire to your markets. All right. Which one's after next?
The one that was more off of there.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, the Industrial Revolution begins. The Industrial Revolution is a shift from an agricultural-based economy in Europe in America to a manufacturing-based economy. In Great Britain, it began in the late 1700s. New innovations in farming techniques yielded greater food supply, which led to a larger population, and a larger population fueled a labor surplus, which fed factories and fueled urbanization. Why England first? Sure.
Because England has more people, last time I'm not mistaken, and it has more, how can I say, ruling parties.
Yes.
More ruling parties.
Okay. More population, more ruling parties? More population, yes. Right. Great Britain has plenty of natural resources for the creation of the new steam engine. We've never really truly improved on the steam engine. If it's a nuclear power plant to a steam engine like picture there, they all work under the same principles. Oh no.
You know, you can make like a clockwork robot scheme. Howard. I mean, Romans were actually kind of experimenting with clockwork. That's how I checked those. Evidence of around further that has years. Amazingly enough. I didn't know we got to finish it.
All right, we talked about coal already, so that gives away that answer. Great Britain has a large amount of coal, and unlike many places in the world, their coal is near the surface. So obtaining the coal was cheap. Coal from these coal mines was used to fuel steam engines, which were used to pump water out of coal mines, allowing us to go deeper. Through this, it became a repeating cycle until World War I.
For them, with all that coal they were getting, they were causing more breathing issues for.
Yes, we'll definitely be getting to the positive and negative impacts of industrialization by the end of today. All right, in the rest of Europe, the Industrial Revolution spreads thanks to its early adoption of industrialization. Great Britain becomes the richest country in the world by 1850. Things are still unstable in France, thanks to the French Revolution. So that combined with few sources of coal and few sources of coal and much political instability from the French Revolution makes France not industrialized until after the Napoleonic era. The German states likewise were slow to adopt, mostly due to a lack of centralization. We say the German states instead of Germany because, as of yet, Germany is still not a country. And in the case of the United States, the story is fairly similar to Britain. Natural resources and a surplus population lead to relatively early industrialization, but things won't really kick off until after the Civil War. We don't like to speculate at what the time might be in the United States between the Civil War and industrialization finally kicking off. What happened to the southern cotton? Used to make textiles in northern factories. During the Civil War, let's just say a lot of people served in the military. Most of them were on the Union side, where they will receive their first manufactured piece, the first outfits, how we have now. Before that, everything's made by your mom or by your wife if you're married. Anyone's mom make them clothing before? Yeah? Did it fit very good? Was your mom very good at it?
No, she wasn't really.
Most probably weren't. So once you got your first piece of mass manufactured clothing, man, did it feel good.
Then you're gonna start purchasing the,
Well, war ends, you're used to it now. You're used to having, I'm a size 9 shoe.
Right.
I have not just pants, but the size of pants.
But as we all know, there is a cost to, every little bit of manufacture you make, because you got manufacturers who are making that object, so that way they can make the money, and then make that item again and replicate it.
This is our interaction between labor and capital, along with that natural resource, in this case of cotton. Just another one on that side. All right, now we'll be talking about the impact, the social impact of the Industrial Revolution. As a result, the population of Europe almost doubled between 1750 and 1850, going from 140 million to 266 million. Before the Industrial Revolution, you have two classes, the aristocracy and everyone else. The Industrial Revolution results in the creation of a new class, the middle class, that sat between the poor and the aristocracy. The middle class have been primarily composed of newer owners of the capital, who owned the factories, and those who ran them in non-labor-based positions.
Oh, you know, it reminds me of that, like, time machine, you know, where it would like rip off people's fingers if they got like stuff.
Reminds you of that, that's exactly what we're talking about.
Oh, man. And the fact that they make kids work for like barely to nothing.
They're small fingers. You could reach into places that adults couldn't.
Yeah, and then like they would.
And they're cheap. They're cheap. They're almost free. All right, so under industrialization, the new working class experienced terrible conditions. These terrible conditions helped to fuel the growth of early socialism. The industrialization obviously had a profound impact on the rest of Europe. As governments attempt to maintain the old pre-industrial order, even in the midst of a changing world, revolutions began to break out near the 1800s in Europe. In France, now with their return to the king, Charles X censored and censored the press and stripped voting rights, leading to his downfall and the establishment of a constitutional monarchy. In these changing countries, you see the birth of nations and the idea of nationalism, which here is defined as an extreme love for one's country.
She's on the way. Come on. Rattle. You're up.
What?
You're up.
I was like, are we calling out people?
All right, in France, government repression and severe economic hardships lead to a second revolution. And news of the second revolution spread throughout Europe, starting with the German states. All right, unlike some of the revolutions we talked about before, these revolutions failed. The revolutions against the massive Austrian Empire, with its multiple ethnicities, were unsuccessful due to a lack of unity among revolutionaries. In addition to ethnic disunity, there's political disunity among revolutionaries. You can see, I'm gonna have to squint a little bit. But in Austria-Hungary, in 1910 alone, we have Germans, Hungarians, Czechs, Slovaks, Poles, Ukrainians, Slovenians, Croats, Serbs, Romanians, Italians, and Latvians, all speaking different languages, many with different religions, even amongst themselves. Made it a little hard to build a common base, worth dying for at least.
It just reminds me of tribalism. It always comes down to tribalism no matter where you go. It's always going to be like religion or, hey, you look different and I don't like that. Yeah, it's always going to be tribalist no matter what they're doing. Unfortunately.
Moving on to something a little more successful is the unification of Italy and Germany. Both countries go from being a conglomeration of cities and provinces to a true country. The Crimean War in 1853, started by Russia against the Ottomans, ended the concern of Europe and was later joined by France and Britain. Italy was unified in 1870. And Otto von Bismarck, who would become very important later, and the Prime Minister of Prussia orchestrated various plans to unify Germany, primarily through war.